Here's a set of turbos that I did for the YouTube channel Throttle. They're giving away this car. This is for a 3000 GT VR4, and this car is really nice. So if you want to have a chance to win this car, go over to their channel and view their videos on this car and see how you can win it. They're giving away this car in, I think it's 35 days. So make sure you stay tuned to their channel and watch the giveaway and as they are building the VR4, because these turbos are going to be featured in one of their videos where they're building this VR4. These turbos are good for around 750 horsepower. So I'm just going to quickly show you what they are and give you some details on what it is that I had to do to them to build them. Here's the original compressor housings. These have to be machined 3 times. The first time is to get it machined for the compressor wheel. The second time is to machine it for the pipe. Then the third time the pipe gets machined, and then it gets pressed into the housings. Then it gets remachined to the compressor housing. This is a very tedious procedure. You have to be very skilled to be able to do this job. I really wouldn't recommend doing this job if you've never done it before. I've done several of them and I have plenty of experience doing them. I don't usually do these anymore. These I've actually originally had built several years ago, or at least a year ago, but I'm just now getting these done and shipped to them. The compressor wheels are 47.2 by 58 millimeter. They're 20T compressor wheels. The 20T is found on the caliber SRT4, and that's the only vehicle that I'm aware of that it came on. Otherwise, I never knew that it actually came on a vehicle. The turbine wheel is a TDO4HL 9 blade. It's 45.6 by 52 millimeter. You'll notice the back of these. This is the TDO4 heat shield. There's 3 variations of the heat shield and bearing housing that goes with the heat shield. I'm mentioning that because the turbine housings, I machined these. Well, originally it's for the TDO4 heat shield, which sits on this level, but I also machined this level, which I have on CNC. This level is for the TDO4HL heat shield, which is commonly found on the Volvos. I do that just for the simple way as if they want to be able to rebuild these and need to replace the bearing housings, they can use a Volvo bearing housing to repair this later on if they have to. It just gives you the option to use both bearing housings. I machined these out for the different bearing housings and as well as the turbine wheel. The other side, I just trimmed it up, rounded all the edges so that it will prevent it from cracking. These housings don't usually crack, they're actually pretty sturdy. I'm going to tap through all the threads here so that they won't have any problems with it binding up, because the housings usually swell when they're under heat, so when they get removed a lot of times the bolts break. This area I may still port that out. I'm waiting for them to get back to me on that. So very quickly I'll just show you what one looks like when assembled. Here's what it looks like with the compressor housing installed. You can see how tight the tolerances are for the wheel. Now I'll show you what the exhaust housing looks like. So here's the exhaust housing side. The compressor housings are very time consuming to machine, so I don't like to do this build very often. It's been at least probably 2 years since I've done the machining on the compressor housings. Well, at least a year and a half. And the main reason why I don't do these very often anymore is just because it just takes too much time for one person. Now, I'm thinking of a better solution for the people that do have the 3000 GTs and if they still want to upgrade them. I kind of think that maybe it would just make sense that they just send me their exhaust housings and I can machine them for the TDO4 HL turbine. And then the compressor housings, or what you can do is you can just get the whole cartridges plus compressor housings from another company that sells them online, and then I can just machine the exhaust housings. That way it saves you guys money from having to pay me to do all this machine work to these covers. And I feel like you probably get a better turbo because you have a better compressor housing, a bigger size compressor housing. I like this build because it's really sleeper and it looks really clean after I do all the machining. But it's so time consuming that most of the time I just don't want to do it anymore, because if I was to do this build start to finish, when I did these turbine housings, I spent probably about 5 hours doing both of them. I could probably cut that down to 4 if I really, I guess, really focused. Now for the compressor housings, for me to do the work on those, it probably takes me, I could probably get both of them done in about 8 hours to do both, I'm guessing. But still, that is so much time involved for me to spend on one project. Then building the cartridges isn't hard, and then we machine the bearing housing for an upgraded thrust collar, and we machine it for those billet compressor wheels. That's all for this video. Like I said before, this car is being given away, so if you want a chance to win, go check out Throttle's channel. I'll link to it in the description box so it makes it easier for you to find. And stay tuned for the next videos.